Hello! This release is dedicated to all lovers of heavy equipment and monster machines, and today we have the largest excavators, cranes, tractors, and incredibly heavy machinery. Here we go! The absolutely unique Japanese crane SK3500D went into the Guinness Book of World Records as the biggest crane destroyer of buildings and skyscrapers in the world. At the end of the machine, you can see huge nippers that allow this crane to operate at a height of 213 feet. This is an absolute world record for the destruction of objects.
Okay, so this giant piece of machinery isn't really being transported, and it was learned that it would be cheaper to move this thing on its own without dismantling it. But like most of the other giant things that were moved without some problem, the Bagger 288, which is a bucket wheel excavator, and the biggest single piece of machinery in the entire world, it's so large that it actually needs 5 operators. It stands 333 feet tall and is the length of 2 football fields. And in 2011, the giant excavator needed to move from one mine to another that was 14 miles away. Doesn't sound too far, but it took over 33 weeks to reach its destination and had to cross a highway, railway, and even a river at a slow crawl of 33 feet per minute and cost almost $9 million. So, how do you ship an $8.8 billion telescope? Very carefully. In 2014, the James Webb Telescope had to be put together from pieces that were all scattered across the United States. The shipping container was so large for some of the pieces that they were barely squeezed aboard a US Air Force C-5 cargo plane. It's hard to imagine a plane powerful enough to move such a large piece of cargo, but the plane managed. The telescope is a large composite structure that holds and supports Webb's hexagonal mirrors and instruments, and enclosed a 21-foot diameter mirror, and the optics and instruments together weighed 5,300 pounds. The C-5 then headed to NASA Goddard Space Center, where it was moved into a clean room and opened in preparation for testing. This telescope is set to go into space on March 30th, 2021, and is going to really open up exploration of the universe. A Saudi company had the job of transporting a 1,048-ton nuclear reactor through 683 miles of steep desert hills. It was carried on 2 hydraulic trailers and 10 prime movers. There were 6 trucks in the front of this thing pulling it, and 4 trucks behind it pushing at the same time. The move would then switch to 4 trucks in the front pulling, and 6 pushing the nuclear reactor, which you would think would have taken some clever communication to get everyone on the same page. However, the trucks and trailers were all connected mechanically, which of course increased the traction and braking capacity.
The world's largest tunnel tunneling machine is called Bertha. The cost of this incredible machine is more than $80 million, and its height is like a 5-story house. To transport Bertha from Japan to its destination, it was dismantled into 41 parts, the heaviest weight of which was 900 tons. It must build a traffic intersection under Seattle. In 2013, starting work, it broke down almost immediately, and for many months it had to be repaired, recycled, and even modified. But to date, Bertha has already managed to pass 76% of its way by cutting a passage through 2 kilometers of rock, mud, sand, and earth and clay. After 4 years of travel, Bertha will come out of Earth in June this year. Bridge Layer SLJ 900 is intended for building bridges which consist of many spans. This 328 feet monster can independently move, transport, and fasten the finished segments of the bridge canvas to pre-installed supports. Thanks to this machine, the speed and efficiency of building bridges has increased significantly, and the need for human labor has come down to a minimum. The largest mobile crane in the world is also the most powerful telescopic crane with the longest telescopic boom, 8 parts of which are automatically retracted and installed on the desired length. All mobile cranes have one significant drawback: it's a small load capacity. German engineers have corrected the situation when they created this monster truck, cause it can lift 1,200 tons of cargo to a height of 590 feet. Bagger 288 is the largest bucket wheel excavator in the world. The German company Krupp created this miracle for carrying out work in the coal mines. By its size, it surpassed the NASA's crane tracker, 328 feet in height and 705 feet in length, and weighing 13.5 thousand tons. The creation of this giant was spent with $100 million and 5 years of work. Bagger 288 digging at a record high speed, 33 feet of trench per minute. And here we see 116 conventional excavators and the most productive 43 hours of work. In order to not create traffic jams, in Beijing, they decided to demolish the old bridge and put in its place a new one as quickly as possible. So, starting on Friday night, all excavators destroyed the bridge in just 4 hours. And after another 43 hours, the traffic was restored to the new bridge. The Chinese are monsters. There's no other word. Crawler is a real monster truck. This is one of the most powerful and incredibly noisy of land vehicles. Crawler carefully transports space shuttles and Apollo missions. This machine weighs 2,500 tons and carries a cargo weighing up to 6,000 tons. So, the total weight of the conveyor, along with the cargo, more than 8,000 tons. Its dimensions are also impressive, 131 feet long and 115 feet wide. Really big monster that powered by 2 diesel engines with a capacity of 2,750 horsepower each. Big Muskie is the largest moving mechanism on Earth. Its weight is 13,000 tons, length is 490 feet, and its height is more than 220 feet. To start the car, it needs a crew of 5 people. An excavator bucket can easily fit 12 cars. On its construction, $25 million were spent, and during its exploitation, Big Muskie produced more than 20 million tons of coal. Mammoet is a self-propelled modular conveyor. Its ability is to transport any construction of the most incredible dimensions. For example, a bridge, an oil platform, or ships. It is called modular because several such high-duty conveyors can be combined and work together as a single whole. Interestingly, these machines are controlled with just an electronic control panel. And here's a representative of the Belarusian automobile plant, Belaz 75710. This is the world's largest dump truck with a payload capacity of 490 tons. The first eye-catching thing is its extraordinary size. The length is 66 feet, the width is about 33 feet, and the height is 26 feet. This monster truck went into the Guinness Book because it carried 503 tons of cargo in a testing range. The price of such a vehicle is about $10 million. That's why it is produced by units and only by order. Its operation on ordinary roads is almost impossible because engineering communications can't withstand this machine. And for a turn, it needs at least 148 feet of free space. Big Bud 747 is the largest tractor in the world, which has remained so for more than 30 years. It was designed for 2 brother agronomists and remains the only one of its kind. And even today, no agricultural company has developed a technique similar to this tractor. Dimensions of the monster truck are startling. The length is 27 feet, the width is 20 feet, and the height is 15 feet. The machine can treat 400 hectares of soil in a day. Monster truck has doggish appetite. In a minute, there is an expenditure of 6.5 liters of diesel fuel. And finally, a unique copy of the Dodge Power Wagon, made to order for an Arab sheikh, also known as the Rainbow Sheikh. This copy is not reduced, but enlarged 8 times. The weight of this super pickup is 50 tons, and inside there are luxurious 4-room apartments with kitchen and bathroom. This incredible machine is equipped with an engine and is even able to move, though not too fast.
At the top of our list is an incredible and a super crazy piece of machine that obviously has some state-of-the-art innovation. A company called Ale has developed what is called the MegaJack system, and it can be put into containers and shipped and constructed in just 2 weeks. But the most amazing thing done with the system will blow you away. Jacks can be scary things sometimes, especially if they fail, but the MegaJack system was put into use and it lifted an entire oil rig, weighing 42,780 tons. The rig was the Exxon Naftogaz Limited at the shipyard of Daewoo Shipbuilding and Marine Engineering Company Limited in South Korea. It was the heaviest jackup operation in the world. The MegaJack was configured in 4 sets of towers, with each one being made up of 3 separate towers each. This gave each of the 4 towers a capacity of 15,000 tons and an overall jacking capacity of 60,000 tons. It took 11 hours to complete the lift, in which the topside was put on a barge and sent to its drilling location in the Arkutun-Dagi field off the east coast of Russia. The first thing that Russia had to do after it illegally annexed the Crimean Peninsula was to get a bridge from the Russia territory over to the Kerch Strait and onto Crimea, which was an incredible feat. A massive operation with time being of the essence. The arch of the railway section weighs more than 6,000 tons. The arch was placed on the floating system and left for the Kerch Strait on August 27th, 28th of 2017. The length of each span is almost 744 feet, and the highest part of the arch is more than 260 feet off the water surface. However, despite its size, there are now larger Ukrainian ships that are stuck being unable to pass under the short bridge, which was likely an intentional move by the Russians. Regardless, it was an engineering feat like no other, with an incredible amount of planning. When the bridge was opened, Putin himself was the first to drive across it, from Russia to Crimea. Imagine an 800,000-pound piece of nuclear equipment being moved through California during the night. And that is what happened when the retired steam generator was moved from Temecula and passed through Riverside County on its way to a disposal site about 75 miles west of Salt Lake City. Because of the immense weight and the 16 feet high load, it had to be taken off major roads and moved on side streets. The 400-foot-long truck that moved the generator took up 2 lanes of traffic and could only move 25 miles per hour maximum. The combined weight of the 192-wheel transport trailer and its cargo weighed a staggering 1.5 million pounds. The biggest challenge was the 90-degree turns, and each one took 45 minutes to 1.5 hours to make a single turn. The wind turbines are some pretty incredible machines, and there are many different sizes. However, the blade for this wind turbine measures a staggering 290 feet long and almost 15 feet high. And of course, the blades for this massive wind machine had to be transported, which is no small feat, considering there isn't a flatbed truck long enough to make such turns. In fact, the move was a world record attempt, and the planning to move the blade actually began 1 year before it happened. The awesome thing is that the move went 100% as planned. Some of you may remember NASA's Space Shuttle program, which had a decent run and was retired in 2011. The Endeavour was one of these flying marvels and ended up heading to a museum. The amazing thing is that the Endeavour weighs 155,000 pounds and was loaded onto a multi-wheel dolly and pulled by a single Toyota Tundra. That's impressive! The journey took 3 days and many people went out to capture its move and take a lot of photos, as it was powerful to see the excitement on people's faces as the pride of the United States space program made its final mission to the museum. You've probably heard of someone moving a house, and it's actually something that's done frequently. However, moving an entire hotel is a completely different story. The hotel was the historic Fairmont Hotel in San Antonio, which was built clear back in 1906. Now you're probably wondering why anyone would want to move a 1,650-ton brick building. However, even though the building was vacant for years, it was in nearly the exact same condition that it was when it was built. and some of the people of San Antonio wanted to save this piece of heritage. The move took 6 days and began on March 30th, 1985, and captivated the entire city because of how big the project was, literally. The people who took the job was an Oregon-based specialized heavy hauling company called Emmert International, and San Antonio's Alamo Architects also helped in the planning. Many people actually said that it couldn't be done. The furnishings were removed, windows boarded, and the entire structure was lifted onto 36 hydraulic dollies and trussed with bands of steel. By the time it was ready to move, it had become a brick-and-mortar shell, which was supported by huge I-beams and wooden boards. It was moved with a cable and pulley system on the dollies, which had a total of 288 tires. A crane was used for some torque, and 6 fully loaded dump trucks with gravel for stability. The job took 132 hours and about 300 workers, and the hotel still sits in the spot it was moved to today. Submarines are huge, a lot bigger than they seem in photographs and videos than they are in real life. That's why it was such a surprise to see not only one, but 2 Akula II class submarines, the K-391 Bratsk and the K-295 Samara, loaded onto one ship, which is a giant semi-submerged vessel named Transshelf, which is owned by the Dutch Dockwise. Once the 2 subs were aboard the vessel, she sailed to the Zvezdoka plant in Severodvinsk along the northern sea route. The reason for loading them onto a ship was to replace obsolete armament, radio electronics, and hydroacoustic systems with more up-to-date equipment. This was the world's first operation to carry 2 atomic submarines at the same time, with a National Geographic documentary following. This is another amazing construction marvel of a building being transported to a new spot. The Zhenguenge Building is a 6-story warehouse in Shanghai that was designed by British architect George Wilson and constructed in the 1930s. The building was shifted 125 feet, 38 meters to accommodate local redevelopment. It's pretty incredible to see a 3-story building being slid across a set of rails. But the move went as planned, and the historic building was moved and saved.